Have you ever been to a wedding and you can't see the guest across the table from you, or you go to put down your phone or your purse and there's just not room? Or worse, you sit down at the table and you're greeted by 3 candles and a sprig of greenery. You feel cared for? Not really. Today we're going to be talking about wedding table design and what you can do to make sure that your guests feel loved and appreciated and welcomed, but also it's going to function. All of that and more today on Ask the Florist. Hi, I'm Sarah with Rose and Laurel, and this is Ask the Florist, where we're going to be talking about all of the flower questions that you should know the answer to. Today we're talking about what makes a great reception table. When it comes to your wedding reception table, we need to start at the bottom. That is the linens. Your linen, if you choose to have one, should be of great quality and it should hit the floor. Please, we don't want to see folding table legs sticking out from underneath your tablecloth. It's not a good look, and it instantly is going to take your wedding from rich and luxurious down to cheap and tacky. Can I say tacky? I'm going to say tacky. Tacky. Don't do it. So make sure you have a great linen. Make sure you've steamed it. Steaming a linen is going to make even a polyester linen look fabulous and luxurious. So if you can't afford to spring for the really nice linen, at least get it steamed, and steam it either way. From there, we're gonna move up the table and we're gonna go with the non-negotiable items. And no, I'm not talking about flowers, I'm talking about food. Guests are there to eat. So we wanna make sure that there is room for them to actually eat their food at the wedding. So we're gonna think about, are you going to have a family style table? Are there going to be platters of food on the table? Is your caterer going to have the salad ready and plated when your guests sit down? These are things we need to think about so we can determine how much space is going to be on that table for floral and other decor items. But we also want to think about, is there going to be room to set their phone or their clutch or their purse down on the table as well? So once we've determined what the non-negotiables are, the size of your plate, is there going to be a platter of food, then we can move into thinking about the flowers. Your table shape is going to come into play here. If you've got a long rectangle table, maybe we need to have a long skinny arrangement or a smattering of different vessels that can take up a little bit less space but still be super full and super lush. Or maybe you've got a big table that's going to fit 10 or 12 people, then we're going to want a really super beautiful, lush, full arrangement in the middle. I like vessels that have a foot on the bottom or a little stand. It gets the flowers up off the table so your guests can see them but still see over them is key. But it also leaves more space on the table for practical things like butter and salt and pepper and the bread basket. After we've determined what flowers we're going to pick, we're going to think about candles. Typically, some votives, some pillar candles are great, but you don't need to go all out on candles if your table doesn't have the size for it. Pick a lane. We're gonna do more flowers or more candles and focus on one of those elements. Don't try to put everything on one table. It's just gonna feel cluttered. It's gonna feel crowded. Your guests are gonna be a little bit overwhelmed between the lights and the flowers and the food and trying to find a place to put their stuff. So we don't need to overcomplicate things. The final element is those little details and special touches that make your table special. Things like individual place cards or a menu. Maybe even a single flower on each place setting can be a great way to welcome your guests into sitting and enjoying their meal. The one thing I will tell you about place setting flowers, you're going to want to make sure you're picking a flower that is not poisonous, so avoid things like hellebore or foxglove. The other thing you're going to want to think about is that flower grown organically or without chemicals? Because ultimately that flower is touching something that food is going to be on, so we don't want to make any of our guests sick. Those are things we need to be thinking about as we're planning what floral elements are going on your table. So as we're designing your wedding table, remember we're going to start with a really great steamed linen. We're going to think about where our food and our guests' personal items are going to go, and then we're going to build out from there with floral and small details to make that table beautiful but also functional. Is there a wedding detail that is your favorite that you want to see on your table? Drop it in the comments below and make sure to subscribe for more content from Ask the Florist.